Hey everyone, how's it going? So, I want to do this video. It was really inspired by a good friend of mine, Dean Thompson, over at Vinny Corleone 62. Please go check out his channel. I have a link in the description. He actually did a video for one of his favorite games of all time, Mad Max. He's a huge fan of that game and that franchise, and I have the game myself. I just haven't played. I'm going to be actually playing it during the summer. I feel like it's a good time to actually sit down and play a game that I've been wanting to play that's just been on my backlog forever, and they also promised him that I'd play it. But anyway, he did a video a couple years ago regarding Mad Max a year later. We basically went back to the game and just sort of talked about it and his overall thoughts and just the fun aspects of the game. And I felt inspired by it, and I want to do it for Mirror's Edge Catalyst, as this is one of my favorite franchises, one of my favorite games last generation, and it got this sequel slash reboot, really a reboot, on the next generation of consoles. And so I want to take this opportunity a year later, as it's actually, I'm uploading this an exact year ago that this game was released. And I wanted to do this video to sort of go back and talk about my feelings on the game. This is going to be a semi-review. I'm going to talk about a lot of things. I'm not going to go into some really go into detail about it, but I'm going to talk about a couple of things. I'm going to talk about what I think they should have done and the direction I think that they should have taken instead of, what they went with. And we're just going to be basically playing the game and talking about it and just having a good time, alright? So this is Mirror's Edge Catalyst 1 year later. I hope you guys enjoy it, and thank you all for watching. Alrighty, how's it going everyone? So, we're in here in the game. I'm going to be playing this on PC, obviously. Gotta find out what I'm doing. Let me turn down the volume in the game so that you guys can actually hear me. So, this is going to be an interesting video. I'm basically going to be walking around playing the game. I'm going to just talk about some of my feelings and stuff after a year later, what the game is like, and going back to it and whatnot. It's a game I play pretty consistently, to be honest. It's one where I'll just run around here if I'm just bored of what's going on, or like if I just got nothing to play. Occasionally I would put on some of my friends' YouTube videos and actually play the game, and just listen to their videos at the same time. It's a great game that you can just kind of turn off your mind to and just aimlessly wander around. And that's kind of like what I want to just do here, is I want to talk about the game and give you guys my feelings and whatnot, and just something. This is a game that I was just incredibly excited for, and you guys all know that I covered it immensely on my channel. I just died, that's nice. I covered it immensely on my channel before it's released, basically doing videos for like every single freaking thing that was announced or that came about for this game. And it was a lot of fun doing those videos. I cannot make this basic jump. It was a lot of fun just doing those videos where I just talk about the game and just being excited. And I remember those days, and it was just pretty awesome just to speculate on what the game would be like and to watch those trailers, how good those trailers were and whatnot. And then then we finally got the game, and it was a game that started off, and I really, really enjoyed it. And it's just, it was one of those things where over time, I just kind of just got annoyed, It's a game, I love this game, but I also hate this game to death. It basically, there's a lot of things this game does right that the first game did. In fact, let me just say this, is that in every single aspect, this game is better than the original Mirror's Edge. It is. I mean, like, let's truthfully be honest here. In every single aspect, this game is better than the original Mirror's Edge. It looks better. It plays a lot smoother. The story, however disappointing it is actually better overall. It's on a grander scale of things, and it's just an overall better game. It just is. I think, however, that the reason it feels like so much of a letdown compared to like the first game is because of the first game's existence. This game, the first game was like an experiment, right? It was like basically seeing if you could actually make a first-person parkour game with puzzle elements and stuff. Let me just take these guys out. You know, it was like, let's imagine making a parkour action-adventure game in which the focus is not shooting through a first-person perspective, but it's on puzzle solving and it's through avoiding combat. And it was this really different game and experience. It didn't feel like anything else out there on the market. And I think because of that, like, people like myself took such liking to it because it was such an original concept. And when you really think about it, it's probably like the most original game that we have so far in like a very long time. You know, when you think about Mirror's Edge, there's really no other game that compares. There's no other game that will give you that same feeling. There's games that have copied the parkour element from Mirror's Edge and injected it into their full game. Like, let's think about Dying Light. It was a good game, but the focus wasn't on parkour. It was like combat. Parkour was just a quick facet of that game's gameplay. You know, it wasn't like front and center. You could play the game without jumping and you know, doing all that stuff. But you know, Mirror's Edge, it's like, this is the core gameplay. Here, let me turn this down a little bit more. This is the core gameplay, is parkour, and it's so different compared to, you know, everything else out there in the market. I think because of that, it's just a game that I cherish and a game that I love. You know, I love it because it's different, and you know, that's awesome. Because it's in this day and age, it's very hard for us to get any of these different experiences with games. Everything's kind of like the same. Every game's trying to copy off another game, and some of these games copy off other games. Gosh, there's people everywhere. Some of these games copy off other games and, you know, do it even better, and that's alright, you know. But then there's, you know, but it's like there's no original concepts. And that's what I loved about the original Mirror's Edge, is it refused to be, it refused to just to be the status quo. It challenged it, you know. It said, we're going to make a first-person game, but we're not going to have it be about gunplay and shooting. We're going to have you just traversing the environment. And I respect this game for really doing away with guns. I know there's some people who are, you know, wanted the game to have some gunplay. There's actually an achievement / trophy in the original Mirror's Edge where if you beat the game without shooting anyone or using any guns, you get you got a trophy for it. And I'm glad that this game decided to go away with it, because it forces people to think in strategic ways. You know, it's like in the first game you could easily just pick up a gun. There are people everywhere. This is ridiculous. In the first game you can just pick up a gun, you know, and shoot your way through. But you know, it wasn't supposed to be like that. Whoa. It wasn't supposed to be like that, you know? And I think they gave you that option in the first Mirror's Edge because they wanted people to feel like, you know, I guess also the combat in the original Mirror's Edge was just terrible. It was not intuitive, it was not, you know, pleasant to play, it was frustrating, and you really had to be skilled at the game. And even if you were skilled at the game, you know, it still was a little bit of a challenge. So, let's see if I can just get away here. I mean, like, you look at the gameplay like this, and this is awesome, you know, like, I'm running from the police, and, you know, they're sending more people at me, there's some VTOL above that's tracking me. I love this feeling, you know? But I feel like the open world design and the formula was just like so poor here. And I know a lot of people want to say, well, it's DICE's first open world game. But the reason that DICE is getting a lot of flack for, you know, this game and the way it was designed in their open world is because there's so many open world games right now that you can look to basically, you know, copy. I mean, like, just think about all the open world games. There's a lot of them these days. I mean, a lot of franchises that were previously open world, and this is one of them, have gone open world. You know, but there's so many games that have gone that route, and there's games that do it pretty well, you know, and pretty perfectly. And I really feel that DICE could have, easily done something. Like, they could have looked at the other open world games and could have made, like at least copy the formula or something to make a good open world. I feel like the open world that we got is interesting in the fact that I think it fits the Mirror's Edge lore. I love the way, how there's so much information about the way the cities run. I'll stay here for a sec. About the way the cities run, about the government. I mean, you can literally read for hours, and I'll show you here. You can literally read, here we go, the intel. You can read this for hours. Look how many documents there is. There's information about every single corporation. There's information about certain like NPCs and people in the game. There's information about all the history of the world and how it was developed. Like, you literally read this for like hours on end about the overall environment and how everything, the history of the city and how everything was just made to be what it was. And then you also have recordings here which kind of go into more detail with character development and whatnot, but they're kind of a letdown. But there's so much information that was made for this game, so much, and I feel like the writer himself basically took this game, this formula, and said we're gonna create a universe surrounding Mirror's Edge, and they spent a lot of their time creating a universe. But the problem is that they didn't spend a lot of time creating the story for this game. I really feel the story that we got is bullshit. This is a character development. This is a story that could have easily been like a side prequel comic or just some bullshit. It shouldn't have been the full game. It is a waste of time. It is a waste of time to listen to, and it focuses on the wrong elements. A proper Mirror's Edge story is a story about the city itself. It's about a city that's beautiful and has this very artistic charm to it. You look around, you're like, wow, this is a gorgeous environment. I want to live here. But there's this really disgusting, deep underlayer of just control and power and greed that all sifts underneath it. And I really feel like, if the story focused on the world and how the people are being oppressed and how the runners, basically Faith takes a stand and takes on the role of her parents, which in the story of this game were like leaders of this resistance group or this activist movement. I really feel the story focused on that rather than this bullshit of, well, we have to develop Faith as a character, so let's make a story surrounding the reason why she grows up to be the runner that she is. And then in the second game, let's focus on all that, revolutionary shit. It's stupid. The problem with that is that Mirror's Edge had one chance. We're lucky to have even gotten this game, to be honest. The first game was an experiment. It wasn't a huge seller. It was a niche game. Like it appealed to people like me, but a lot of people looked at it and some people didn't like it. And understandably so. It's different. Not everyone's going to like different. But some people didn't like it. And so we finally got greenlit here for another game. And what DICE should have done is say, all right, let's see, what's the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience? Well, let me tell you, the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience is an open world game. It is. It's an open world game with unparalleled freedom, the ability to go from any building you want. Oop, that was close. To build the ability to jump and go to anywhere you want in the city, to go inside of the buildings, to interact with the civilians, to go on the ground level if you want to, and parkour around traffic. It's that unparalleled freedom. That is the penultimate Mirror's Edge game. The problem is this: Mirror's Edge is a game ahead of its time. That concept of complete open world freedom. We're talking a world that's about 3 or 4 times the size of any modern Assassin's Creed game. All right. So it's unparalleled freedom, and it has to run at 60 frames per second because the original one ran at 30 frames per second and was terrible. The controls felt so sluggish on PS3 and 360. And so it has to be 60 frames per second, and of course the art style, it has to be a high resolution. I mean, right now I have the game running at, well, fake 4K. You can actually see. It's Ultra HD, but you see I turned down the resolution scaling because the game doesn't SLI very well. So I turned down the resolution scaling, so the game's really around like 1440p right now, alright? And it's just upscaling itself to 4K. But this is an art direction that just begs for a high resolution, because you have like these really sharp edges that cut through the city. You know, it's just one of those games where basically graphic complexity is so high that you need the hardware to work in tandem with the actual art style. But going back to what I was saying, that's like the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience, and we don't have the technology to power a city like that these days. We just don't. There's not even a 1080 Ti could power that level of complexity in an open world. It just wouldn't work. The game would run at like probably like less than 20 frames per second. And you have just stupid designs like this. See, like, you look at stuff like this and you're like, is this... Did they intend to have a door here or something? Like, what the hell is this? Look at this. This is what I'm talking about. This is what pisses me off about this game. Floating objects. What is the point of this? Was there supposed to be a door here or something? Is something... And so you spend your time being frustrated over stuff like that, then you just end up running away. You end up running away from the glitches, but I honestly didn't notice that before. But you know, you see my point is that this game just, it's like beautiful, right? You look at it and you're like, gosh, I love these colors, I love this contrast, I love this environment, but there's a lack of polish under all of it a little bit. And there's a lack of just cheap sort of effects, you know, to get it to work. It's a beautiful game to look at on the surface. There just is some problems here and there. Those security cameras are annoying. So the game was actually designed... Give me a sec. So the game was actually designed, you know, as this open world, and I just feel like the problem is that it tried to do open world, but it basically gave us a mediocre open world. Not because I don't think the developers were smart enough to create an interesting world, but I think the technology just wasn't there to create. Uh-oh, my game froze. Well, that's not good. PC gaming, PC gaming. Alright, so... And the game freezes. But, you know, you get my point there. It's just that it begs for some more polish here. And, you know, the sad part is that this game got 2 updates, basically, when it was announced. Or when it came out, rather. This game got a day 1 update that basically fixed all the issues that were in the beta, right? So that's like kind of basic. And then the game got another update, I think, that fixed some PC specific issues and whatnot. It wasn't that big of an update, but the game got 2 updates. Alright, and it's just bullshit because there's clearly more work to be done. There's clearly stuff that should be fixed. You have glitches here, floating objects, you have crashes right now on PC. The SLI support is terrible in this game. I feel bad for anyone who has an SLI, you know, type of game here, but the SLI is just terrible in this game, which is interesting because DICE has always had great SLI support in their games, but this one's a no-brainer. It's like it's an exception, I guess. So, which is interesting, you know. But yeah, I mean, there's just so much that could have been different, that could have been done differently, and I think would have really helped the game out. But I love the gameplay. I mean, it's still Mirror's Edge at its core. It feels amazing to play. It really does. I absolutely love the world design. I love the way the controls feel. It's a lot more forgiving than the original Mirror's Edge is, but there's, you know, once you get the handle on the controls and you just like get into this motion of things, it's just a beautiful game to play, you know. And you're watching this and you're just running and soaring through these environments, and it's just fantastic. My favorite district in the game, because this, this open world is comprised of, I think 4 districts. Yeah, 4 districts. My favorite district in this game is the original one that you start off with, downtown, and that's specifically because of how. I'm gonna try and get up here. Actually, there's a way you can glitch yourself up here. There we go. So yeah, the original downtown's like the perfect Mirror's Edge city, sort of. It starts off really well, and it's just a gorgeous downtown area. We'll get to downtown in a little bit, but I just want to explore different areas. Like, this is a excuse me, this is a story mission, right? This is a story mission area, and all the story missions are connected to the open world in some way. I just found a way to get down here, which is pretty cool, because you're not supposed to be up here, basically. This is where, like, for the story only. But there's a way, like I just showed you guys right now, there's a way you can glitch. Let me see if I can get up there. There we go. See, and you're gonna get all the way up here, which is interesting. No, I can't get up there. Let's see. Wonder if it'll let me do that. Whoa. Alright, we're making progress. See, but this is what this game should have been. You see this exploration where you're not sure if you can get there, but you're gonna try anyway. There's like none of that. There's seriously like none of that in this game. This is me like glitching out the game to get to an area where I'm not supposed to go. But this is what the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience should be like. You know, this question of, can I get there? And you trying to basically get there by, parkouring through the world. And you're not sure, but sometimes you'll fall and stumble, and sometimes you'll just, you'll make it, and it'll be really rewarding. But there's like none of that, and that's just what's really disappointing here. Damn, I just have to figure out a way to get out. But we'll see if we can fast travel here. I'll do some story missions. I know some people haven't played the game, and I don't want to do anything that spoils the original game, or spoils the game rather. Let me show you this. This is your open world map, alright? And you're like, holy shit, this thing's huge! Wow, you get to all this area, then it kind of goes around, but you're noticing something, right? You're noticing something. It's all empty. There's no objectives over there. There's an invisible wall for me to go past over there. In fact, the open world for the game is truly this. This is the real open world. It's this. That's where we are. We're right here. It's all of this area. It's all of this area right here with the water. That's where we were in the beginning of the video. And it's this downtown area right here. None of this is accessible. All this is bullshit. All that up there is bullshit. That's all bullshit over there. This over here is bullshit. 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 You see all those buildings over there? All bullshit. And it fucking sucks. This is so depressing. Look at how big this world could possibly be. Oh, and let me tell you, it doesn't just stop there. It doesn't stop there. You see that? Look at that over in the distance. If you pay attention, in the far distance there's some buildings. That's a separate island that's connected to this island. And that's part of the open world. But you can see that they clearly textured the map. It's clearly, in existence on the map. But look how sad this is. All those icons, that's the only place where we can explore, is where those icons are. It is so depressing when you see of how big this world could have been and just what we got in return. And this is what I mean by it's not possible. Because when you really think about it, a world of this size, with this amount of detail, is not possible. There'd be loading screens everywhere. And especially, this is a seamless world, there's no loading screens going between districts. But there'd be loading screens everywhere with this.
but this would have been like your full open world. And now we have to ask ourselves, do we wish that there was loading screens to get this full open world, or do we wish that it was more seamless and that we just, you know, get what we get? But that's what I'm talking about, is just how depressing the game map is, because you see all this beautiful exploration, but you can't go to any of it, and I just hate that. I just find it really depressing. So anyway, let's make our way to downtown, because I like that. That's my favorite district in the game, because it's the closest thing we'll find to the original Mirror's Edge. Let's see, can I make this? Yes. Alright. This right here, these delivery missions, they're bullshit. Those are never-ending quests that basically have you go to... let's do one, because some of these things have you literally... They have a timer on them, right? So you have to deliver them in the fastest way possible. Some of these things have you, like, bring it to you, like, literally down the street. It's the most worthless thing. It's like, why would you even deliver them? So we have 1 minute and 36 seconds to deliver this package over there. Where is it specifically? Alright, it's over by Plastics Lair. Okay. So this is nice, you know, this fits Mirror's Edge, right? These open world exploration, you know, package carrying missions. I mean, the runners are technically couriers that deliver highly sensitive information, and so you would expect to have missions like this. But it just seems pointless, and it seems cheap. Let me mute this phone and break my legs. But it just seems cheap. It seems like an afterthought. That's all. Damn it, I didn't make it. Go! But it's a fast way to earn you know, just experience and points. And they're occasionally fun. Where'd my objective go? I completely lost it. Oh, it's over there. Shit, I have to go down. I don't even know if I'm gonna make this one. Oh, I got it. It wasn't that bad. It was pretty good. We're actually closer to where we need to go, you know? What I hate about this as well is that this world's empty. This is supposed to be like the nightlife section in the game. So like you have a lot of parties in this district and, you know, just a lot of stuff. But everywhere you see these parties take place, they're all like in just buildings. And there's people like just hanging out in like buildings. But, you know, like in the sections like this, I mean, look at this. You would expect there to be people sitting down and talking and having drinks. You'd expect there to be someone in here serving people at this bar. But it's empty. It's just completely empty. And you have some jerk off here in a suit who gives you a side mission later on to deliver some crap. But it's like all this stuff is empty. And populating this area would have gone a long way in creating a world development, you know, sort of scenario here. You want your world to feel alive. And the problem is that the world doesn't feel alive. You look down, you see some traffic, but you don't see a lot of people on the street, which kind of sucks. You just look at cars, and the cars are going through their motions and whatnot. But it looks like you look off into the distance, it's empty. It's empty. You have these drones flying around, which kind of fit the whole art style, so those are kind of nice. Should I kick these guys' ass? Let's do it. Let's fight some people. Now, combat is something that you have to get used to. I'm going to explain it really quickly before I fight these guys. You have two people who are saying the combat sucks, and then another group of people who are like, I like the combat. The problem is that you have to learn the combat to enjoy the combat. This combat is a step in the right direction, but it's just not done properly, in my opinion. what I would have done for combat here is I would have had two versions of attacks. Instead of having a light attack and a heavy attack, I would have had a upper and lower attack. And then you'd basically be fighting people, and they'd be able to dynamically calculate your... Like if you use the same combo to take down someone, they'd be able to dynamically react to that, and so you'd have to change up your combo constantly, right? So you'd have upper attacks, they start blocking your upper attacks, and you go for the lower attacks, and you start kicking their feet until they block that, then you go back to upper and you take them down. I've also would have brought in, there was an element in the first game that's lost with this game. Like, you see two people over there with guns, right? And then you see two other security guards there. The people with guns will not shoot you even if you have your back turned against them and you're fighting someone else, because you're fighting someone else. They literally will stand there with their gun pressed up against your back and wait until you finish your combo with the other person before they go and attack you. And that's an issue here, because it basically the original game had it had a scenario where basically you would have to isolate your enemies and pick them off one at a time, because even if you were attacking a different enemy, another enemy who saw you and was near your position could still attack you. And so it forced you to sort of, find different pathways to take down your enemies and lure specific enemies around corners. It forced you to be a little bit strategic. This game, you just run up and you attack them, and it's pathetic. Here, I'll do it now. I'll land safely here. I mean, it's really simple for me to do that. I mean, I can stand here and there's some more over there, but it needed some more work here. You have certain enemies that will block all your light attacks. Oh, fuck this. So you have certain enemies that will block all your light attacks, and you have to open with a heavy attack, and then you have to upgrade your moves so you can get like certain combos that will, counterattack them at the correct point. Wow, the game crashed again. That's nuts. Alrighty, so we got away from them. We're heading into the downtown district, and this is another issue I want to point out as well with the open world design of this game. There is one way to get in and only one way to get out of each district in the game, and that's not open world to me. That is not freedom. That is cheap bullshit, padding, sort of. It's really just, it goes into the design aspect of this game where it's like, what the hell was going on? Because honestly, it's like, you're telling me that there's only one way to get in and one way to get out of each city in the game. Each district, excuse me, in the game. One way in and one way out. Like, just think about the basic design issue that is. And it's like, it's just weird to me. I mean, you always have to take the same exact spot in and out of each district. And it's annoying. And I don't want this to be a full-on negative video about Catalyst, because there is a lot of positive moments in this, and I've talked about, like, the gameplay. It's a beautiful game to play, but you really just have to make this effort, especially if you're a fan, you have to make this effort to ignore all of the flaws in this game. And there's quite a few. But I love downtown. This is my favorite district in the game. It's the one that you first start off with. It's the perfect homage to the original Mirror's Edge. I mean, it's a futuristic city that has some of the classic elements like the first game. The colors are beautiful, you have all the advertising in the buildings, and it's like, wow, I want to go over there. And you can traverse the city and actually go over there. I actually think downtown might be the biggest district in in the whole game, to be honest with you, because it has like 3 different sections, and the way it's designed, it's actually designed the best in my opinion. You know, it's like, it's complex, but it makes sense as well. You know, you can go over here, and there's ways to go all the way down. There's nothing there, but for the sake of world building, you can see. You know, there's like doors that lead all the way down here. I love this type of style. You can go all the way up here. You know, it's cool, and it also works with the Mirror's Edge, you know, gameplay. There's different ways to take, different routes to go, you know. Let's go over here. There's actually an aspect over here that goes back to the exploration thing I was talking about in my Anchor District, you know, part, where I was like, oh, you can go, this is a single player story mission where, you know, you can explore and you can glitch through and get to. You can actually get to this area as well. It's a little bit more difficult, but there we go. But if you're skilled, you know, you can do that. And I love this. This is the type of exploration I was talking about. You know, it's like I can get on top of this building. I'm technically not supposed to be here. You can see it kind of doesn't make sense. You have like this big open area here with all these air conditioning units. You know, there maybe should be like a railing over here as well. But like, what's the point of this building, like this rooftop? You know, it doesn't really have a point. But you can get up here, you know, just by glitching through the map. Well, not glitching through it, but if you're skilled, you can parkour your way up there. You can actually get on top of there as well. I'll show you. Oh. Must be a little bit. There we go. You can do this. There we go. Squeeze through there, and I got up here. And now we're on top of this building. This gives us a top-down view of pretty much everything. This busy highway. And this is what, again, just going back to it, this is what this game needed to do if it was going to be an open world. It needed to allow this exploration aspect. This ability for you just to say to yourself, I want to climb up on this building. And not because there's something up on there, but because of the challenge. And do it. But it didn't do that. It was a mediocre open world. It was. And now I have to figure out a way to get back down. Let's see, is there a way down? Yes. There we go. So, but I like the fact that you can do that if you want. You can take that route. Whoa. There we go. Alright, so we're safe. Let me show you guys some of the cool stuff. So combat in the game, I think a lot of people would have complained less if they did it how they were originally going to do it. In fact, if you watch some videos about the developers talking about this game, they said that combat went undergo a few changes. It was originally designed as a puzzle to where you would have to actually figure out the best way to take down all of the enemies in the game through a set path. But they later changed it to, you know, like they'll just send 4 enemies at you straight away, and you have to challenge yourself to try and take them all out, like this. But if we actually take a minute here, and we'll go back to, we'll do like Be Like Water, you'll see that this game tried to do like a combat in motion type of thing, which is my favorite, because if they did it like combat in motion, they would have basically, like no one would have complained about the combat. People might have complained that it was too easy, but the challenge would have been trying to beat everyone and take everyone out in a successive straight pattern. And there's a few levels in here that actually do allow you to take down people in a straight successive pattern. We'll play through some of these levels now. So, wait till Nomad's done talking. So we'll play, this is a tutorial mission, and this, let me go back to another complaint here. Look at this. This is the mission list. This is a mission. This is a tutorial mission. As you can see, it's 2 minutes and 3 seconds long. At least that's how long it took me. This is a tutorial mission. Mission. All these are other missions, alright? But another thing that bothers me is the length of some of these missions. This is padding. 2 minutes and 3 seconds. Padding. So these two are padding. Padding. 3 minutes and 29 seconds. Padding. 6 minutes and 40 seconds. Alright, but this is a stupid mission that just basically has you hack some stuff around. It's dumb. Then you have side missions here. And there's 15 side missions, but some of these side missions are so stupid that it makes you scratch your head at, like, just what were these guys thinking. So look how awesome this is. This is combat in motion. Where basically the challenge is to hit guys without slowing down, just one after the other. And it's freaking awesome. And I wish combat was built around this instead of what they all ultimately changed it to. The music picks up, and the music is dynamically adjusted based on the way you play. And it's just fantastic. It's great to listen to, it gets you in the mood. It's freaking awesome. It's a great soundtrack, and it's awesome combat at the same time. Everything just flows. And that's like one of the themes of the game is flow. Hit things one after the other. And then there's missions that do that. You know, let's play encroachment here. Yeah, encroachment. Which is kind of like padding, to be quite honest with you. This is a mission that should have been a side mission, but it actually has combat in motion. Where you look at the enemies and you have to analyze, you know, where everyone's placed and the best way to go about taking them all out. And when you play the game like this, when you see the game with combat in motion, I'll skip through this. When you play the game with combat in motion, it's incredibly fun to play and incredibly fun to watch as well. And you get to connect all these sort of dots. It's like a game of connect the dots, and it's freaking great. So watch as we're sitting here. There's some puzzle platforming and parkour platforming. And as much padding as this level is, it really shows you like the possibilities that this game could have done, or could have been, you know, if they decided to go this route. Ignore her talking over herself. So you're like, here you're like, oh, an enemy. So perfect, drop from above, easy takedown. Then we have to push this server out of the way. Or they call it a sentry drone. It's freaking huge though. Alright, now watch this section coming up. Watch this section coming up, alright? It is freaking ingenious. This whole part is ingenious. I'm gonna basically beat everyone in this stage right now without stopping. You see what I'm talking about here? If every stage was sort of like this, it would be freaking fantastic. I just beat... Look at that. I started from there, I went all the way around and beat all these guys, and guess what? I landed right where my objective is. This is what it should have been. That is freaking ingenious right there. And the game gives you glimpses of these missions, and you play them, and it's so jarring because you're like, everything's so organized, everything is perfectly placed. Everything is perfectly placed, and it just really... It puts a smile on your face. It freaking does. I'm sure some people watching this are smiling as well, just of how awesome the combat is when it's done in motion like this. You get some puzzle platforming here. She's talking over you about some story stuff. And we're going to do it again, right? So here's another section coming up. Watch this. Easy peasy. And I'm right, straight right at my objective. You see how organized that is? It's these glimpses that where I'm like, yes, this is what we wanted. This is what we should have gotten. And it's like they're few and far in between. It sucks. And that's the story mission. Basically, we're done with it. But that was just an example of combat. And there's a few other stages. Here, I'll show you one of them. This is a more major story mission. This is actually probably my favorite story mission in the game. But it's another great example. It's another great example at combat in motion and how well it's organized. And so we'll play through it briefly here. Alright, so we're going to be playing through this story mission. You open this vent, and you're just looking at this level, right? You're like, holy shit, that's a lot of enemies. We're going to take down each of them in succession, and we're going to end up right where we need to go next after we're done. It is ingenious. It's fucking brilliant, Harry! No, but seriously, it is. So we'll go over here. Jump up here. You're like, alright, there's an enemy over there. We're going to parkour up. And take this guy down. Easy peasy. He's done. Parkour back up here. We're going to fall to our death. That wall is actually always glitchy. It's weird. I think because it's at a curve, and you're supposed to wall run on it to get to the other side. Let's see if I can do it this time. Here we go. There we go. Made it. Alright, so you're looking right here. We got enemies over there. We got some enemies on the balcony. You can see their health bars through the wall. And then there's an enemy up there on the far balcony up there. It's awesome. Alright, watch as we're going to take them all down. And we're going to keep moving with parkour. And this is what I wish this game was built around. Oh, man. This guy's glitching me through the wall. There we go. Alright, so watch this. Took him out. Parkour over here. And what's great about this, we just took down everyone in the room, right? And now we end up where we're supposed to go with our objective. A perfect straight line. Now, here's what's even more funny, right? Here's what's even more hilarious. Is we're actually going to get to this next stage with enemies, and it's going to be completely the opposite. I'm going to try and do the same thing I did, but it's not going to work. Watch. It's not going to work at all. My whole flow's just messed up. This combat's just ridiculous. This guy. Just kill him. But you see what I mean there? You see what I mean there? It's like, what just happened? It was a weird transition where combat was perfect in the first part, and then the second part, it's like, that didn't work out well. And unfortunately, the game is very inconsistent like that. That's a perfect example of the inconsistency of the game. Just glitch through the wall, it's nice. Perfect example. So, alright, what's good? I mean, the thing that, if I want to sit here and say, like, what's good about the game, and I'll sit here, I'll mute this because I'm trying to actually speak. I mean, there's some things that are good about the game, right? Like, when you actually master combat, it's entertaining to go through and beat these guys down, yes. The sound quality in this game is some of the best sound quality I've ever heard in a video game. Like, no lie.
Let's get her! You're in breach of policy.
It's fantastic. Which end? It's fantastic. Music is fantastic. It's a gorgeous symphony that perfectly matches the aesthetics and the beauty and the motion of the game. You know, and it's done by the same guy who did the original Mirror's Edge soundtrack, Solar Fields. He just does a tremendous job here. The soundtrack is fantastic. The world itself is beautiful. It just doesn't have as much exploration as it should have gotten. The graphics are also really nice. Definitely a huge step up from the original Mirror's Edge. But the original Mirror's Edge still holds up well today. But you know, you can look on these walls and you can see some texture on the walls and whatnot. Got Mirror's Edge TV right there with this large screen. You got the reflections as well, which are a nice addition. The shadows could use, I mean, this is ultra settings, right? So the shadows could use a little bit of work, but I think they're intentionally done like that to simulate like sun soft shadows. So I think that's kind of why. But there's a lot of detail here. There is, you know. Look at the picture here. You can see some inconsistencies and whatnot. So yeah, it's a gorgeous game. It is. I feel like the story itself is terrible. It's terrible. It was bad in the first game, you know. I mean, it was bad. Yeah, it was bad in the first game, but it's just poor here because this game takes itself so much more seriously than the original Mirror's Edge did, and because of that, it fails even more so than the original Mirror's Edge. So we're gonna go here and skip this cutscene. Now you can also create time trials in the game as well, which are, I mean, it's okay. I think that they tried to breathe life into this game by having user-created content, which is a good idea. It is, but I just feel like, you know, because the game was so poor on the single-player side, it just failed miserably with the user-created content. This is DICE's excuse. Their lame excuse says, oh, you can ride drones in the game. It's a set piece. It's a fucking set piece. Oh, hang from drones. They literally said that was one of the... They had like a video posted up like, oh, 68 reasons to play Mirror's Edge Catalyst. And they're like, oh, you can hang from drones. So I'm thinking, oh shit, all the drones that are flying around in the city, you can grab onto them at any time in the gameplay and it can take you to different parts of the city. That's ingenious, right? That's a really good idea. No, it's a fucking set piece. That's not a reason to play the game. A set piece is not a reason to play a video game, unless it's Uncharted, you know? But this game isn't even near that, so... I don't know. I think to end it here, I want to do like one more thing. Let's do Benefactor, because that's actually a beautiful mission that just showcases and really defines the mishaps of this game. Although this is supposed to be more of a, you know, my whole culmination of what I thought after a year of, you know, me having it. This game makes me sad. It does. It really makes me want to cry over how beautiful the game is and how incredible the game could have been, but just how far it misses the mark. So this is the area where I was trying to glitch through before at the beginning of the video. And you'll be able to see actually me play through it here and how beautiful it is. The game on consoles is, I'm not going to say it's ugly. I've actually grown to actually think it's quite decent on the PS4 Pro, even though it doesn't have PS4 Pro support, but this is, I mean, it's a different game on PC. I mean, if you have the choice, obviously please play it on PC. It's a complete different game. On PS4, you have frame pacing issues where sometimes it'll have stutters, unless you're playing on PS4 Pro, and you have boost mode enabled, then it completely fixes that, and the game's a beautiful like 60 frames per second. And that's like the only version of the console game that I will play. Other than the PS4 Pro, the Xbox One is actually a little bit smoother than the PS4. But it runs at 720p on Xbox One and it looks blurry as fuck. On PS4 it runs at 900p, which still looks blurry as fuck, you know, but at least it's a decent improvement. This is a game, like I said, the art style begs for a high resolution, like 1080p, 1440p, and 4K. This game is just, oh my god. Now, unfortunately, the game is such a power hog. It's so demanding. It's actually a perfect benchmark game. I don't know why more people who benchmark videos don't actually benchmark this game, because this game will basically challenge a 1080 Ti at 4K settings. In fact, I would say a 1080 Ti couldn't even hit 60 frames per second at 4K with this game. And like I said, the game doesn't have really good SLI support, so that doesn't even help either. But the game's a graphical powerhouse. But yeah, I just wish that the game was just a little bit better on, like, it looked a little bit better on consoles, because it's quite ugly on consoles. And I wish the game just got PS4 Pro support, right? But the problem with that is that the reason it did not is because the game sold like shit. Which I know EA has said, oh, the game sold to our expectations, but it pretty much sold like shit. I mean, the game didn't even break 1 million copies, which for EA would be considered a commercial failure. And it's confident. It's just that their lack of confidence in this franchise. It's like, oh, we're going to bring back Mirror's Edge, but we're just going to do it to shut you guys the hell up who've been complaining to us about having a new Mirror's Edge game. You know, it's like, no, understand this game has so much potential. It just wasn't ready for an open world. And I didn't realize that. It took the failure of Catalyst for me to realize that this game is basically a failed open world. It's true. And as a fan, it just makes me sad. I literally am depressed. I have the art book for this game, and you would not believe how gorgeous, how incredibly detailed the art for this game is. This game has art where it just shows Faith looking off into the distance on some building, and you're like, I want that feeling in the game, that feeling of mystery, that feeling of exploration in the game. I want that. And the game, it just doesn't give it to you. Here's a good idea for this mission. So basically, I'm doing this mission for a guy named Dogan, who's this crime, like, he's like the mafia basically in Glass, right? The leader of this mafia group. And Fate's like, oh, I'm gonna actually help these civilians out who basically we have to go to the top of this building and drop something out to destroy this building, right? And there's people here working on construction, and so Fate says, no, I'm gonna get these people out first, and she sets this fire alarm to get these people out. This should have been optional. Imagine how awesome it would have been to actually have an optional side mission within your actual story missions, because that's what I would have done. I would have built a game with open level design, with Deus Ex level design, with choices to go in multiple different routes to complete your objectives, and then I would have actually had side objectives within the main story objectives. So that's what I would have done. Open level design, beautiful story, and just side objectives within an actual main objective. And you know what? You know what have also been in there? Is yeah, player choice gameplay. The ability to go to any route you want, the ability to lose or like have like a race against some of your runner friends, which would create character development, and then lose and then have them dynamically react to that. That would have been awesome. Huh, you're getting really high up, aren't we? So this is why I wanted to pick this level, because it's a perfect showcase of how just exploration, if it was the focus of this game, would have made it incredible. And it just makes you think about what the world could have been. One of the most beautiful levels in the game. What you are seeing right now is the entire city of Glass. There's that island. Here we are on the map, right? We're all the way up here. Remember I said there was an island on this far side over there? That's what we're seeing. Imagine, I want you to imagine, for a sec, the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience. And even if you're not a fan of this game, imagine this with me, because then you'll realize where I'm coming from. Imagine unparalleled freedom, the ability to run anywhere you want. You see it, you can go to it. And you know, fuck this, I'm going to enable NVIDIA Ansel, which is NVIDIA's camera software tool, to free cam around this for a sec. So the ability to travel anywhere you want, to be able to go over there if you want, over there to that other island, you can go to this, you can climb on top of that big building if you want to. Unparalleled freedom, right? And here's Faith at the top. Unparalleled freedom. There's the shard. I want you to imagine how incredible this experience could have been. I mean, there's just no comparison. No other game could offer you this feeling if the game decided to go this route. You see tunnels over there that connect to under the water that go to like a different city that's over the mountains or something. And so not only do you get to climb up on every single building in what you're imagining right now, you also get to go into the ground level, and you get to see how people on the ground are living, and you get to run through crowds of people, just crowds of people, and you're shoving your way through, and there's police chasing you. There's also subways that basically ride around the city, and if you catch one, you can actually jump on top of a subway, and it can take you to a different part of the city, just like super quick, super fast. Imagine what that could have been like. This incredible opportunity of freedom, traversal. And you see when you start imagining it, what I mean by we just don't have the technology? We don't. There's nothing that can power the sheer complexity of this world the way that it needs to be if they are to do a penultimate Mirror's Edge game. You can see that the buildings on top here, they're just white blocks. They're not textured. The ones over there in the far distance, let's see if I can reduce my field of view. Look at this. They're untextured. They're just blobs sitting there. It's just a background. But if we had technology to render these in full scale with complex designs, with civilians on the ground, cars on the ground, civilians on the rooftops, runners, other runners dynamically running through the world, and you can see in the distance how there's not just, you, the Faith, but there's an ecosystem going on. There's a world living inside of what you're playing in. And this is what I would have made. This is the penultimate Mirror's Edge experience, the penultimate world. And hell, if you even want to, you could even make it online. Not always online, but you can make an online open world like this with other players running in the distance, doing missions, meeting up with runners, having races, and a full dynamic online ecosystem, and a single player online offline world, all in tandem. That is Mirror's Edge to me, and that is why I love this franchise. It's the sheer possibility of what this world could be when done correctly, and we just don't have the technology to do it. And so we get an open world game that takes place in this small little section, and then we get to peer through this window, peer through this window of what could have been if only we had the tech to power it. And that's Mirror's Edge to me. This type of gameplay, sheer level of freedom. And again, even if you're not a fan of that, imagining that should give you chills. It should put butterflies in your stomach, because that would be amazing. That would be one of the most innovative things in gaming. So let's complete our story mission, and when I'm done, we're going to end this video here. But I just wanted to get that off my chest. And I still play this game every day. Well, not every day, but I go back to this game quite often, and I just run around. I'm just searching for the rest of the game. That's what I'm doing. I'm searching for the rest of the game. Like, where is the rest of it? It's sad, but you know what? I'm at least happy that this game failed, because at least I got to see. At least I got to imagine, the perfect Mirror's Edge for this time frame right now, which is open level design, Deus Ex style, with player choice gameplay, side objectives, and a really engrossing, emotional, character-driven story. About a world that is beautiful, but has a really, really dark past, and is controlled. There's no freedom. And Faith takes a stand. That is what Mirror's Edge Uprising would be. I would have also taken this stage, and I would have actually had the building start to crumble, and you have to parkour to different platforms, and you have to get out of the building before it starts to fall apart. I can stay up here for like 2 hours, and nothing would happen. the controller shakes, but there's like nothing happening. There's stuff like that. That's a set piece, you know. But like, imagine having this whole building just crumbling down, right? Just crumbling down, and you have to escape it as it's crumbling down. Imagine how awesome that sounds. Stuff falling everywhere. Your reactions have to be like pinpoint and accurate if you hope to make it out alive. There's different paths to get out of the building. Some paths take longer than others. You end up in like a different area at the very end of it. And now we're just going back down to the world. But it'd be awesome if we could do that at any time. Like imagine going to any of these buildings right here, going inside of them. You're walking around people who are like working because it's an office, and you take an elevator and you can go all the way up to the roof. You can go to some of the different floors in the buildings that can take you to different platforms. DICE needs to hire me so I can freaking make the Mirror's Edge game that we all need. It's not the game we deserve, it's the one we need. I think that's a perfect summary for this game. We'll use the Batman quote. We didn't get the game we deserved, but we got the one we needed. We needed this one in order to show that it's not ready yet. That Mirror's Edge is a game ahead of its time. And with that, I am going to end. No. With that, I am going to end the video here. This has been Mirror's Edge Catalyst 1 year later. I know a lot of it was like me ranting about all the shit that I had a problem with in the game, but I wanted to give you guys like sort of a mini review of the game and just go back to it and just really explain my thoughts and feelings. So I never had like an opportunity to do that. I was like, oh, just save it for the review, save it for the review, save it for the review, and I still want to do a review, you know, but yeah. I'll show you this really quick and then we'll end it, because this is actually cut from the game. This is actually, some people on console may not know this, but if you're on PC, well, if you're on PC and you have an AMD card, you might not know this as well. But there was it shows you that this game had a lot of stuff that was cut from it, that this was ultimately a much larger game than it was, and that stuff was just cut. We run past these guys, I want to fight them. So Dogen, as I said, he was the mafia, the leader of like the mafia in Glass, the crime czar in Glass. He used to be, he's just a guy in the story who gives you a few missions like that mission where we just went on top of that building, we just escaped from it. That's one of the missions he gives you. But he used to have actually side missions in this game. He used to have side missions, and you used to be able to go into his, he owns this thing, a Castrofusion, or Gastrofusion, excuse me. He owns this, and you basically in the story, it would trigger a cutscene if you went to this door, and that's basically his, you know, his restaurant. But if you actually use NVIDIA Ansel here, this is a secret. You can actually go see his complete, you know, kitchen in the restaurant. And this was a part of the game that was cut. Originally, you were able to walk in here and talk with Dogen, and he had side missions that he would give you, but it was cut from the game for whatever reason. I don't know if they didn't have enough time to do it or whatever, but it's not in the game. But they didn't take out this room. This room is still rendered. And as you can see, this is Fate's tattoo, her mother's drawing, which was a focal point in the story of the game. I won't spoil. It's not really even explained in Catalyst, to be honest with you, but you know, Faith has her arm tattoo based off of this drawing. It's this is her mother's diagram for some like medical breakthrough. I don't know how that makes sense, but that's what it is in the story. And you can just see, you know, there's stuff here. It's all rendered. It's all rendered. Kitchen staff. You got probably, you know, people who worked on the game, their names. And you used to be able to walk around this, you know, kitchen, and Dogen was, you know, sitting here as an NPC, and his bodyguard was sitting here as an NPC. You would just talk to him and be like, oh yeah, here's a side mission. He would give you a side mission, probably, you know, some stupid shit, but it was cut from the game. And you can no longer go through this door. This door just triggers a cutscene. but they never took out this room. It's still rendered. So, just wanted to point that out. Alright, so with that being said, as a final thing, I'm just going to not talk, and I'm going to basically run to the safe house. I'm going to pump up the volume, and I'm just going to run to the safe house in Mirror's Edge, and that'll be the end of the video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Let me know what your thoughts are, and I'll see you guys in the next video.